First time that the world would see that agreement made between Virginia Giuffre and Jeffrey Epstein back in 2009 when she was known as Virginia Roberts. And following an order by US judges, that will be made public today for the first time. Now, we understand that in those court documents, Virginia Giuffre alleges that she was a victim of sex trafficking and abuse by Jeffrey Epstein from the age of 16. And we also understand in those court documents that she was lent out to other powerful men, including Prince Andrew. She does name Prince Andrew. She accuses him of sexually assaulting her on 3 occasions when she was under the age of 18, which made her a minor in the US. Now, those are claims that Prince Andrew unequivocally denies, and it is important to stress that there is no criminal proceedings being made against him in the United States or indeed in the United Kingdom. But the release of these files, as you say, Alex, could have an impact on that civil case that is being brought by Virginia Giuffre against Prince Andrew.
Yeah, what sort of impact could that have?
Well, Prince Andrew's legal team are busy preparing now for a virtual court hearing in New York tomorrow. They want that 2009 deal to mean that this civil case will be dismissed. And that's because they say that by agreeing to this deal with Jeffrey Epstein in 2009, that meant that Jeffrey Epstein as an individual could not have any claims brought against him, and other individuals as well would be released from those claims too. Now, Prince Andrew's lawyers argue that Prince Andrew should be amongst those individuals. They also argue that Giuffre no longer lives in the US, so they do not have, that court does not have jurisdiction over this case anymore. But what do we know about the civil case? Well, we know that Miss Giuffre is suing the Queen's second son. Again, this isn't a criminal case, this is a civil one. She is suing for damages, and she claims that Prince Andrew sexually abused her when she was a teenager. Now, these are unspecified damages, but it is reported that it could be in the range of millions of dollars. She claims that she was trafficked by the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was aged 17 and therefore a minor in US law. And those are all claims that Prince Andrew denies. Now, the judge could order that that case does go ahead. He could refuse to have that civil case thrown out tomorrow, and that would mean that Prince Andrew does face a trial in September or October of this year, and that would mean that he would have to make the stand and make a statement under oath. Now, that is something that Prince Andrew and his lawyers will be looking to avoid, although he has said he will cooperate with any US authorities with any investigation that needs to take place.
I mean, last year was a tough old year for the Queen, wasn't it? Losing her husband, Megxit. This is going to impact on her dreadfully, isn't it, surely?
Of course, I mean, this will be a difficult and stressful time for any family that is going through a court case. But the Queen, this is what most of the press have for a long time reported. This is her favourite son. She's had a very difficult year. She lost her beloved husband in April of last year. She is 95 years old, and there were reports, of course, that she was suffering from poor health before Christmas. So this is the last thing that Her Majesty needs, this distress at this time, knowing that her son has been accused in this manner. And of course, very stressful and distressing for Prince Andrew's daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, who have their own very young children. It must be very difficult for them, for their father and indeed their children's grandfather to be accused in this manner as well. Now, Buckingham Palace have denied rumours that Prince Andrew may be asked to stop using his title if he loses that lawsuit that has been brought by Virginia Giuffre. They will not comment on ongoing legal matters, and that is standard practice by Buckingham Palace. Very rarely do we receive any public statement, and they have also played down those reports that we've seen in the press in recent days that Prince Andrew may have to step back from his military roles as Colonel-in-Chief of 9 military regiments. And of course, there were those parallels being made between Prince Harry, who had to step down from those military titles as he stepped down from being a senior royal. But Prince Andrew's lawyers would say he has not been found guilty of any crimes, so those titles will remain in place. But he has stepped back from royal duties after that 2019 Newsnight interview, that extraordinary interview where he denied ever knowing Virginia Giuffre, ever meeting her and definitely having any sexual contact with her. He denied all of those claims. But this case will have an impact on the reputation of the prince. It already has, with close friends Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell now convicted abusers. And this is yet another reason why lawyers will be hoping that this civil case between Virginia Giuffre and Prince Andrew will be dismissed tomorrow.
And this obviously all comes after Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty. But what sort of real-world impact is that now going to have on Andrew?
Yeah, so the British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of grooming teenagers for Jeffrey Epstein last week, and she now faces the rest of her life in jail. And there were questions about whether she would name other individuals involved in order to lessen her sentence. And her brother Ian Maxwell has been speaking to the press. He says that Ghislaine maintains her innocence and she will not be cutting a deal with prosecutors. She will not be naming individuals in order to shorten her sentence. Now, a very important thing to note, Alex, is that it was Maxwell that was on trial. It is only the trial that this applies to. But it does mean that one of Prince Andrew's former closest friends is now a convicted abuser. And his lawyers will be hoping, or would have hoped, that Ghislaine Maxwell had been acquitted, because then that would have immediately undermined Virginia Giuffre's claims. But that, of course, didn't happen. Miss Giuffre's lawyers can now go into this civil case against Prince Andrew, saying that it's now beyond reasonable doubt that Maxwell played a role in Epstein's abuse, and Maxwell and Prince Andrew were once very close friends. So, Alex, it is clear that Prince Andrew's relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell is now just as significant to this civil case as was his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Ellie, thanks for getting us up to date, and do keep us informed about all the trials and tribulations that are set to follow. Ellie Costello there, who is talking about the ongoing saga with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell and, of course, Prince Andrew.